Hello, grade twos. So today we're going to talk about writing the first book in our series. So we're going to start doing that by talking about my story about Gretchen. Remember, I was writing about Gretchen last week. So I'm going to read you two bits from two different stories, and I'd like you to think about which one would make a better first book. Okay? So here's one excerpt. Gretchen heard a noise. Peep, peep, caw. Peep, peep, caw. What is that? She thought. She crouched down on the path. It was a fierce bird. Gretchen felt afraid. I'll be brave, she thought. She scooped up the bird in her sweater. Okay, so think about that excerpt, and then I'm going to read the next one. See if this one would be a better or a worse fit for the very first book in my Gretchen series. Gretchen had just moved to the country. One day, she was in the forest by her new house. I wish I could have a tree fort, Gretchen thought. Sometimes Gretchen was lonely. She wanted a place to play. She looked around the woods. She wondered, what could I build a fort with? So grade twos, if you were thinking number 2 was the better first book for a series, you would be thinking the same thing that I was. In that second one, I gave some more information about Gretchen, where she lives, what she's thinking, what she's feeling, what happened just before the story began. So in book 1 of your series that you're working on this week, I need you to give a bit of information about your character. So let's read a book for an example of book 1 in a series, and then we'll talk after about what makes this such a good start to the series. Poppleton, Book 1, by Cynthia Rylant, illustrated by Mark Teague. Neighbors. Poppleton used to be a city pig. He did city things. He took taxis, he jogged in the park, he went to museums. Then one day Poppleton got tired of city life. He moved to a small house in a small town. Poppleton's small house was charming. It had a little sunroom where Poppleton took naps. It had lots and lots of shelves where Poppleton kept things. It had a little garden where Poppleton planted corn. And it had Cherry Sue. Cherry Sue was Poppleton's new neighbor. Cherry Sue was very friendly. In the mornings, she called out, "Yoo-hoo, Poppleton! Would you like some oatmeal?" So Poppleton had oatmeal with Cherry Sue. So this Poppleton book is the first book in Cynthia Rylant's series. So she has a whole series about Poppleton, but in this one she's giving more information than she would in later books. So let's pay attention to what she did that we will also be doing in our books. So the first thing that Cynthia Rylant did in book 1 of her Poppleton series is tell who the character is. So she told us Poppleton, she told us about him, he used to live in the city. And then the next thing is where the character lives. So we know that Poppleton has moved into his new house. We know what the character likes, so she talked about his garden, how he likes to grow corn. She talked about how the character feels. And then she also talked about who the character's best friends are. So right off the bat, we met Poppleton's neighbor, Cherry Sue, and saw how they are good friends. So all that important background information about Poppleton was in that first book. So this week, as you're writing book 1 of your series, and then some books that might come after that, remember to include those important details in your story so that the readers, as they read further along in your series, they have that background knowledge. Have fun writing, guys. Bye!